new gate was a modern VR game that let players explore freely, but suddenly turned into a dangerous fight where players couldn't leave. If someone died in the game, they disappeared in real life. In an open area, some skeleton soldiers fought against a group of players. As a few players got defeated by the skeleton soldiers, a girl was about to lose until a brave man stepped in to help. While the girl wondered who he was, he focused on beating the skeletons without chatting. This man was a serious player, fighting hard to finish the game. He had promised to come back to his team but got distracted by a big fight with a boss. Even though the boss fought fiercely, he dodged its attacks. Not bothered by the boss's strong defense, the player tried to make a powerful hit, but the boss blocked it and healed itself. Realizing he needed a new plan, he attacked the boss again. Even when the boss tried to fight back, he found a chance to hit it hard, destroying it. After defeating the boss, the game said he won and gave him new titles. As players started to leave the game, he noticed he was the only one left. But when he tried to leave, he couldn't. A big gate appeared, showing he hadn't finished the game yet. He got sent to a grassy area that looked real, making him think the VR tech was very advanced. Checking his stats, he saw they got much better after beating the boss. Even though he won, he couldn't find the button to leave, and he couldn't connect to the game network. Confused how he could still move without the network, he thought about what to do in this strange game world. He figures out that the game world is now his new reality and almost freaks out. But he decides to calm down, knowing that feeling sorry for himself won't help. He uses an item that takes him back to his home base. Following the item's directions, he sees some new buildings along the road that weren't there before. He wonders when they were built. When he gets to his base, he sees some bad guys forcing an elf girl to show them the way to her boss. The elf girl refuses to tell them, even when they threaten her. This makes a big guard monster come out of the base. The bad guys run away, and the guard monster goes after the girl. Shin steps in to help. He learns he can control how strong his magical powers are, but it's tiring to use them a lot. He's amazed at how real the game feels as he fights the monsters. Back at the base, the elf girl introduces herself as Tiara. When she talks about her boss, Shni, Shin tries to remember. He recalls a character named Shni from the game. Shin asks Tiara about her, but she's suspicious and doesn't want to say much. Instead, she says she'll tell her boss for 1,000 coins. Shin gets the coins from his item box, surprising Tiara. She says only important people can use item boxes. Tiara also shocks Shin by saying the coins are worth a lot more than he thought. Curious about Shin, Tiara finds out he's just a regular player who picked High Human as his character. But she says High Humans disappeared 500 years ago during something called the Dusk of Prosperity. Shin doesn't know about this event and guesses it might be linked to people getting stuck in the game. He realizes the game's world is set 500 years after the game's story. Tiara brings him back to the present. Thankful for her help, Shin offers Tiara a coin as a thank you, but she says it's too valuable for him to give away. Eventually, she takes it, interested in his gesture. Shin promises he won't ask for it back. Tiara is surprised he can tell she's an elf, as she had an illusion spell cast by her boss to hide her identity. Shin thinks the coin might be helpful to her, especially as an elf, but Tiara is surprised he knows her race. She says black-haired elves are seen as bad luck. Tiara tells Shin that she got kicked out of her village because her black hair attracted monsters. But her boss protected her secretly for over 100 years. Shin wonders if her curse can be fixed, so she tells him her hair used to be silver until the curse made it black. Shin decides to help her and realizes she can be cured. Even though Tiara isn't sure, he uses his Purify skill to make some of her hair silver again. It's not all silver, but Tiara feels hopeful again after waiting so long. With Shin's encouragement, Tiara leaves her safe zone. Shin promises to protect her from any monsters. They go through the forest without any problems, and when they reach a grassy area, Shin says her curse is gone. Tiara cries tears of joy and thanks Shin for his help. Shin plans to go to a nearby town to find his support characters. Tiara gives him a letter to show to the kingdom, so he can pass inspections safely. Shin jokes about it, but Tiara says it's a thank you for breaking her curse. Shin leaves the base, promising to come back when Tiara's boss arrives. At the kingdom, he's amazed he can skip the inspection line with the letter. The guard says it could even get him a meeting with the king. Inside the Adventurers Guild, Shin meets a worker who looks like the one at the entrance. He finds out she's her older twin sister named Celica. She tells him her name is Silica and asks him to pay a fee and fill out a form. Shin waits in the guild and is surprised it takes almost a day to make a guild card. He sees other adventurers with basic weapons and armor not like in the game. Celica thanks him for waiting and gives him a snack. She sits with him, making Shin feel uneasy when she stares at him. She says she wants to check something and asks if he has a letter from his base. He does, and she takes it to check. Shin doesn't want to meet the guild master yet, but Celica says it's too late. The man from the reception is actually the guild master, Barlux. He takes Shin to a private room and checks his letter. Barlux puts another letter next to it, making it glow and proving Shin's letter is real. Shin tells Barlux Tiara gave him the letter. Barlux explains how important these letters are and tells Shin to keep it safe, even if he has to destroy it. Shin promises to keep it safe, and Barlux is satisfied. But he wants to test Shin's skills. Shin is tired and plans to rank up the next day after getting his guild card. He's disappointed to wake up in the game world again. At the guild, Celica gives him his card and explains the ranks. Shin picks a job, but he struggles to find what he needs after searching for hours. Shin feels relieved that he can beat monsters with basic gear, so he keeps looking for the grass. Suddenly, his sensor picks up a monster nearby. He checks it out and sees it's a strong monster, stronger than he thought. Even though it's tough, he fights it. But his hits don't do much. He's surprised to see an undead monster using a light sword. He decides to use all his power. With one hit, he destroys the monster's core, and the sword disappears. Shin feels a bit sad because he wanted the sword to replace his broken one. But the monster drops a gem, which Shin takes happily. Now he knows more about the game world and looks forward to having fun. Meanwhile, the sword ends up in the king's castle, confusing the guards. But that's where this video ends, and if you haven't watched Salaryman reincarnated into another world with the power to become emperor, click on the video on the right and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. See you on the next one.